I have actually never caught a trout on an inline spinner in my life. I'm really pretty impressed with the action these things have. Oh, I see a trout, guys. Oh, we got one, guys. We got one. What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Connecticut Angler. You know, I was sitting around the other night thinking, boy, you know, I've done a whole lot of fly fishing videos lately. I think probably the last maybe 5, 6, maybe even 7 videos that I filmed were pretty much exclusively fly fishing. And I got around to thinking I really needed to throw in an episode with some spinning gear. Because again, I know a lot of you guys use spinning gear a lot. I know you've watched me do a whole ton of fly fishing, and you know, I'm not averse to using the spinning rod at all. But I also wanted to change it up a little bit because you've seen me use the spinning rod in past episodes over the last year and a half, but you've always seen me use flies on spinning gear. Now, one of these days I'll do an episode where I go into a little more depth as to why I like to use flies on spinning gear. But I thought for this episode, I would do something that you've never seen me do before. And that's use actual conventional spinning lures on my spinning gear. Because believe it or not, guys, I have actually never caught a trout on an inline spinner in my life. I mean, ever. I have never caught a single one on an inline spinner. So today, that's my goal. My goal is just to go out there with my spinning rod. I have a couple inline spinners that I bought, and I'm gonna see if I can't get my first trout ever in life on an inline spinner. So let's take a look at the spinners I bought. I went and bought a couple the other night. I have 3 different inline spinners here. I got 3 different brands and 3 different weights. So I have a, let's see, this is an 1/8 ounce spinner. This is a MEPS. I have a 1/16 ounce. This is a South Bend. And I've got a, let's see here, 1/24 ounce. This is a Rooster Tail. So I'm gonna see what I could do with these guys. Now, I'm going to be fishing the Pequabuck River today. And, you know, I should mention, by the way, that I've always pronounced it Pequabuck, and then one of my viewers, I don't recall who it was, stopped me earlier this year in the springtime and had mentioned my video on the Pequabuck River and politely sort of suggested that it was actually Pequabuck. And you know what? I've been saying it wrong this whole time. It really is Pequabuck, not Pequabuck. So I don't know who it was that corrected me on that, which one of my viewers it was, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you. So from now on, I'm going to pronounce this river correctly, Pequabuck. Anyhow, I'm going to be on the trout management area of the Pequabuck. You've only seen me fish, you know, at least a couple miles above the trout management area in the past. This is the first time I've ever fished the trout management area on the Pequabuck. This is a catch and release only fishery. And I know that some of you guys are gonna kind of cringe a little bit at the idea of barbed treble hooks on these spinners. So I'm going to take one extra step here to try to satisfy everybody. And I'm actually going to clip 2 of the bends off of each treble hook on these spinners, and I'm also going to crimp the barbs. So we're going to have single hook barbless spinners that we're going to be using today. I guess there's really no more to say than that. I'm going to get out there, I'm going to open up some of these spinners, I'm going to get these hooks clipped, get these barbs crimped, get them rigged up on the spinning rod, and we're going to see if I can get my first trout ever on an inline spinner. Let's get to it, guys. All right, guys, for the time being, I'm just gonna bring my vest and my net. I'm not gonna get the waders on. Okay, got our spinners all opened up here. Now to clip them and crimp them. And last one. Okay, they're all clipped and crimped. So each one of these spinners has now been converted to barbless single hook. All right, I'm gonna try tying these on with a non-slip loop knot, just to maybe give the spinner a little bit more action. I don't know if that really matters with spinners. Again, I have like very little experience using them. All right, guys, we're all rigged up, so it's just a matter of getting down to the water here. Again, this is a section of the Pequabuck I have never fished before. You're going to see me experiencing this part of the river for the very first time. I'm gonna have to do a tiny, tiny bit of bushwhacking to get down there. Oh yeah, what a nice pool. There could totally be fish here. Oh man, yeah. Okay, this looks really, really nice. And actually that area right down there looks really nice too, which makes me wonder if I should maybe backtrack and work my way up. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna hit this area first from further downstream and then work my way up here. Okay. Well, there is so much brush alongside of the river here. It's gonna be really tough to fish the spot I wanna fish without getting in the water. I really don't feel like going back to the truck, getting the waders on and coming all the way back here. So I'm gonna do the best that I can. We're gonna see if I can pull this off. Okay. I'm gonna pull my net free here. It's all stuck to those branches. All right. You know what, guys? This is a decent vantage point to get in a good cast. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Okay. You know, not a dramatically different look in the water than what you would see with like a white woolly bugger. Now, whenever I've seen people use spinners, it looks to me like they more or less just reel them in at a steady pace and let the actual spinning spoon itself do all the work. I don't usually see them working a spinner like you would a streamer, sort of stripping it. Okay, last couple casts over here. All right, well, I don't know, guys, this spot looked really, really, really nice, but no signs of life here. So I'm going to move downstream, see if we can find fish elsewhere. All right, guys, I did overshoot this spot, check out a couple other parts of the stream before I decided to come back here and park. So I know there are at least some places further downstream that, I mean, at least from the road, looked like possibilities at the very least. We'll see. Okay, guys, this is another pretty nice looking pool down here. Boy, this looks so juicy. I'd be so surprised if there's no fish here. Okay, I'm kind of at the tail out of this pool. Maybe not even at the tail out. There's actually more fishable water down there, but I'm gonna try the faster water up here. Again, really great action on this spinner. I'm really pretty impressed with the action these things have. You know, oh, I see a trout, guys. I see a trout. It's downstream of me. I saw it come into the upper water column and then sort of go back on down. It had to have been a trout. I mean, I guess it could have been a fall fish, but it would seem more likely that it's a trout. I really want to get this a little deeper in the water column. I don't know where he went, but he's not going for it. Let's let this sink a little bit before we start moving it downstream here. Oh, we got one, guys. We got one. All right. All right. Now we just gotta land him. Yep, it's a bow. Oh, yes. Oh, come on, buddy. Yeah. All right, guys. There we go. My first trout on an inline spinner. How about that? See, we got him right in the corner of the mouth. Pretty little rainbow trout. Let's get him unhooked, get him back in the water so somebody else can catch him. All right, guys. Well, I mean, that didn't take long at all. Second spot we hit. That rainbow went for our white inline spinner. That's pretty cool, guys. You know, coming from a background of first going for trout primarily with live bait, drifting worms, and then moving from that type of fishing directly to fly fishing, it's just sort of funny that at my age, I'm getting my very first trout ever on a spinner. You know, for a lot of people, that's their introduction to going for trout, or at least their introduction to going for trout on artificials. But yeah, first time for me ever. So that's pretty cool. And you know, even with two of those hooks clipped off of the treble and with the barb bent back, obviously we're still able to keep that fish. We had no issues. I guess the question now is, do I wrap it up here or do I try to get at least one more fish? And frankly, I think I want to try to get at least one more fish. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the spinner that I caught that trout with and put on another one of the spinners that I purchased and see if we can get another trout before we get going. Which one do we put on here? I feel like this one is like just a little overkill, like it's almost a little too big. There's a chance that I end up losing it in some sticks or rocks at the bottom here. But honestly, I just don't really fish spinners anyway, so I'm okay with taking a bit more risk here. Once again, non-slip loop knot, just to try to give this as much action as I can. So this one is the Mepps Aglia. This is the heaviest of the 3 spinners I purchased. All right, moving a tad bit further downstream here. Same pool, just the lower section of this pool to hit some water that I couldn't reach before. Just pull it on through here. Again, my rule of thumb is pretty much to never fish downstream unless it's really, really necessary. And in this particular case, I don't have my waders on, so I can't cross the river. And over here is a big, I don't know, like 8-foot tall retaining wall. So I really don't have any choice but to fish this downstream. I'm actually planning on moving in just a minute, but before I do that, I'm just running this spinner sort of back through the length of this pool with a much slower retrieve, just to ensure that I'm really kind of skipping it along the bottom in case there's any fish that are just holding low in the water column. I'm of course very much risking getting snagged. You probably wouldn't want to do this too often if you were using spinners because you'd blast through them pretty fast. But in my particular case, it's not really an issue because, again, I don't really use spinners, so I could be a little more bold with them. There's a decent looking pool down there that I'm really tempted to try, but boy, there's just no good approach as far as I can tell. I'm gonna see if I can scramble down there and get in a cast or two though. It just looks really, really nice. It's worth the effort. Okay. We got through. Boy, the wind's really whipping down. I'm sure it's messing up my audio quality. But yeah, this looks like a pretty nice spot. Faster moving water, looks like it's got at least a little bit of depth. So let's see what we can do here. Maybe this spot isn't quite as deep as I thought it was. It can be hard to tell. Doesn't seem like there's anything here interested in the spinner. It looks like we might have a pool coming up here. I'm not sure how deep this is, but let's give it a try. Looks like a nice little pocket over there. Ooh. That was a little bit of a tug. Could have been a snag. Tough to tell. Oh, got one, guys, got one. Yep. All right. Oh, almost busted my butt. Let's get him up here. Got another bow. All right. All right, look at that. He's actually already kicked the spinner. All right, we've got ourselves another rainbow. Not dissimilar from the last one. Another beautiful little stocker fish. Plenty of fun, no doubt, on a small stream like the Pequabuck. Pretty cool, guys, pretty cool. All right, guys, trout number 2 on our second spinner. I'm thinking, let's try to get one trout on all 3 spinners. I'll take off the spinner I just caught that trout on. I'll put on the last and final spinner, and we'll see if we can get one more fish to really round this out. Let's do it. Still quite windy. I'm sure that's not doing any miracles for my audio quality. All right, guys, here's our final spinner. This is the, I believe, cheapest of the bunch. This is our South Bend. Let's see what we could do. All right, first things first, let's see if we can pull another one out of this pool. Now this one is definitely going to require that I retrieve a little more slowly if I want it to get down in the water column, because it is certainly lighter than the one I just took off. We move downstream a little ways. I see another pool right down here that looks pretty nice. We certainly have a shot at getting our third and final trout over here. So this pool isn't quite as deep as I thought it was, but it still looks really, really nice. We have a couple different sort of intermingling seams over here. There certainly could be a trout holding. Let's see what we could do. I'm sure a lot of you local guys probably recognize exactly where I am, because it appears that this is where everybody goes. Again, for me, first time I've ever fished this section of the river before. A couple more casts, we call it quits here. Move on to our last spot. I'm not going to spend too much more time out here. I would really love to get this third fish, but I'm not going to spend like 2 hours trying to catch this third fish. So, all right, guys. Well, I told you we were going to hit one more spot because I wasn't looking to invest an enormous amount of time in this stream today, and I've kind of succeeded at my goal of getting my first trout in the spinner. That said, the spot that I wanted to hit, there's actually somebody fishing there right now, so I feel like I'd be shortchanging this episode if I didn't hit at least one more really nice looking pool. So I'm staring down the stream here, and it looks like if I walk another 200 feet or so, I can hit one more pool. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see if we can make it happen on this third spinner. This is a fantastic looking pool. Let's see what we could do here. Oh boy. Yep, busting my ass. Okay. Let's see what we could do. This spot looks so juicy. I really thought I was going to get something on the first cast, to be honest with you. Nothing in the faster water. Let's move a little further downstream here to fish the lower half of this pool. I don't really know about this area. It's oh, there we go. Oh, he got off. Oh, damn. That was our fish, guys. That was our fish. Man, I was just gonna say, I don't really know about this area. I don't know if it's really worth my time. guys. Got him. All right. Yes. Come on, we just gotta land him now. All right, guys, there we go. Third rainbow trout on the third spinner. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. He's already managed to kick that barbless spinner, but it held him long enough for me to get him in the net. All right, guys. Well, I mean, I would say that given the theme of this episode, I have come through. I produced precisely the episode I was hoping I was going to be able to produce. We've managed to take all three of the spinners that I showed you and catch one trout on each. What's left but to maybe kind of wrap it up with my thoughts about spinners. I mean, for certain, I entirely understand why they are popular lures for trout. Obviously, they work very, very well. And like I was saying earlier when I had the first spinner on, it was very reminiscent to me of like a beadhead woolly bugger. It had very similar action, and I could see how the sort of fish that would go after a woolly bugger would almost certainly go after that spinner just as readily. That being said, if there is any downside to spinners, it's that they're only going to help you target the aggressive fish for the most part. I do sincerely feel like a lot of the spots I passed through, even the spots that I was able to catch one fish in, there may have been other fish down there which just weren't interested in that sort of aggressive presentation that you're going to get with the spinner. And perhaps if I had had a fly rod and I could have drifted a nymph through those areas, I may have gotten more fish out of those spots. But for certain, spinners are clearly an effective way to target trout. Not a way that I really plan to use, not something I'm going to really put in my repertoire in any kind of permanent way, but it was certainly fun to get out here, give them a shot, and see what they can do. Whoa, guys, I just figured, what the hell? Let me throw another cast out here, and instantly another taker. Instantly. Another bow. A little bit of a nicer size one. We'll just let him get right off the barbless hook there. I mean, are we gonna catch more, guys? Are there even more stalkers out there? Actually, I'm gonna cut this spinner off and see if there's a fish out there that maybe wants to hit the first spinner that we used today. All right, guys, let's see if we can pick another one off with this different colored spinner. Yep. Oh, we lost him. Damn. I feel like, I mean, whatever's out there, it's striking pretty ferociously. There's got to be more stalkers out there. Oh, God, I just saw something hit again. I actually didn't feel that one hit. I saw it hit. I saw something. I mean, I couldn't even see the fish, but what I saw was my spinner coming down in the current and then immediately jerked to the side like something had smashed into it. Got one. Yeah. All right. Got another rainbow here. All right. There we go, guys. Another. Can we get another one? You know what, guys? Let's try to complete that whole process again. I'm gonna put on my other spinner. So if I can get one more on this last spinner, then that will mean that we were able to get 2 trout on every one of these spinners. If I could just find that spinner here in my vest somewhere. Yep, there we go. All right, guys, this is it. We got the final spinner tied on here. If we can get a trout on this spinner, we'll have gone back and forth through the full rotation twice, getting 1 trout each time on each spinner. So let's see if we can do it. felt like a hit. Nothing there when I set the hook though. Could very well have been a snag. This is not particularly deep water by any means. Got one, guys. Got him. Yes. All right. Boy, guys, I'll tell you what. Look at here, I already kicked that spinner. You know, I think I've made the case that you can make these spinners barbless, guys, and have no problem landing fish. And you can unhook them really, really fast this way. In fact, by the time you get them in the net, they'll probably already have thrown it for you. Well, guys, I ended up catching significantly more fish than I thought I would. And I've ended up spending more time here than I actually wanted to. But I mean, still, we were able to wrap this up with 6 trout, 2 on each of the spinners that I showed you in the beginning before we called it quits. And I mean, I think all told, I put in maybe an hour on the stream. So I mean, can't go wrong with that, guys. Now, again, for comparison's sake, I mean, clearly there's a lot of stockers out there. It's clearly a lot of stockers are holding out there. And I would almost guarantee you that if I were to come back here with my fly rod and a nymph rig, I could probably hammer a dozen more. I question how many more I could realistically get with the spinner, just because eventually you're going to run out of trout in that school that are going to be aggressive enough to chase something like this, or they're going to get keen to it. That's not to say that every once in a while you're not going to have, you know, a freaking bonanza where you're going to have 20 trout in a row hit a spinner. I'm sure that can happen sometimes, but I think you would hit a point in this spot where fish stopped hitting the spinner and you could come back through with the nymph and probably get a lot more. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for this episode. I'm gonna call it right now, guys. This has been another episode of Connecticut Angler. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you like what I'm doing out here. And I'll catch you guys next time.